everyone, Damiani here, joined by Bloodworth.
Yo.
We're going to be talking about Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe.
Deluxe edition.
A reissue of the Wii game from 2011.
Yeah, I went back and watched my my review.
Oh, so you
gave it an 8.3.
All right, I got Blood here, who's played it extensively before. This new version coming out February 24th of this month. I wrote down 2024 in my notes. It was kind of going a little fast pace. I'll just say that. So I was like, sure. Just fact checking again, just to catch everyone up. Obviously, you know this. That's a 1 to 4 player game. You can play it solo. You can play with your friends. Your friends can play as either one of Kirby's friends, like Waddle Dee, King Dedede, Meta Knight. Or you can play as another Kirby.
Right.
Each of the friends have their own unique powers or like weapons, but only Kirby's can do the suck and copy ability.
Right.
Yeah.
But one of the things I noted is if you're using one of the other characters, that means your ability can't get knocked out of you. So you have the hammer or whatever.
Yeah,
you still have the hammer.
They were pointing that out again, that like that's the advantage of that as well. And obviously there's like, there's co-op play is involved in where you can like carry players, toss them. They were saying like that the advantage is like you can hit more stuff, but like it's it gets a little chaotic, so sometimes it's harder to see things, so people are more easily get hit. And it's just part of the fun and the chaos.
There was also like a sync attack kind of thing to where like if you had multiple Kirby's.
Oh.
You could like sync up your charge and like all like go at the same time and do like a bigger attack.
Ooh, they showed off some stuff. I don't know if they showed that off, but obviously, it's mostly a reissue of the same game. We'll get to it in a little bit. They did show off like a new thing that's being added into.
Yeah, I'm curious about that because this is a Wii game, so this was SD. So for one, it's going into HD.
Yeah, and obviously, we'll need to see it like in action for ourselves. This was a hands-off. So didn't get to actually play it myself. So that was a little bit of a difference. They showed off the World 3, like the Onion Ocean area, if you remember that. They showed off like the first stage, a lot of like, sand castle structures, a lot of water. It looked like very much like a Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze type like place at first. Like they were like climbing across a rope to go, like it's all horizontal platforming levels. And that
was one of the things I noted too, because even at the time when this came out, them saying return to Dreamland, because it had been a long time since we had any kind of traditional side-scrolling Kirby platformer. Like Kirby had been in, we had Epic Yarn, and we had Canvas Curse, and we had all these other little things, but really it had been like,
gotcha,
Mass Attack on the DS, I think. But it had been a long time since we just had a basic like Kirby swallows enemies and gets powers.
I don't follow Kirby as closely as some other stuff, and like Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, like the first one I really dove into and played, fully. So it's interesting to hear this history. I know that this one was also we said it's co-op, but it has drop in, drop out co-op, so it's very like seamless. You don't have to like back out of a level. People just come and go as they please, which is like really nice. They didn't have an answer about the return in the main game, return of motion controls or not.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming they probably are, because there's something else we'll talk about. The new thing has Joy-Con, so like it's like I don't think it's not motion. It's hold one sideways or vertically, or use a touchscreen for one of the sub games, the Kirby on the Draw mini games.
Was that like a Ninja Star throwing or something like that?
That's like you aim and point to shoot. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but like not too long from now. But everything's like focused on the first player's perspective. So kind of if you're used to these multiplayer, especially the Mario games, the new Super Mario games, you're used to going off the screen. You get teleported back. Like you don't have to worry about any of that. But there's a little bit more to it. It's not as like carefree as it sounds. Like it's not like completely like a cakewalk for Kirby. There's a little bit of a challenge involved.
Well, you have a shared pool of lives, so if somebody just keeps falling in pits or something, there goes a whole team's lives.
Yeah, it was like you have a shared lives. They showed off a sub area, like a bonus challenge stage environment. The other players will not teleport anymore, so if they get off screen, they're out. It's easier to lose your lives on that, so it's like a little bit more challenging. The one they showed off was like a purple toxic like liquid, was like slowly descending as you're trying to like race your way down, like making paths, like avoiding. It was like all hazards. It was all about hazards, not fighting enemies. And it just looked like very chaotic and frantic. Something very fun to play with like other people. And there was like a mini boss at the end. It was called Sphere Doomer. like a flaming bird, but like its head looked like an egg, kind of like an egg shaped. And then they have the end of every stage, the goal game, the classic one returns, like launching you up.
Nice.
I don't know how long it's been since that return when this game came out, but
yeah, no, I think even some of the side games they still had some of that, but yeah, for sure. But you're saying they didn't say much about the motion controls, because that was kind of like, it was simple. It was like just like they added like a shake, but it was like that's how you could like suck in some of the larger blocks blocking your path and that kind of thing.
Yeah, there are two different. Yeah, they did mention the two different types of sucks, like the basic and the larger like suck that sucks in like larger objects or your allies, your friends as well. But it didn't come up during the course of the presentation, and then another person asked about it at the end, and they said, "Oh, we'll get back to you." So I'm assuming it's probably yes, because it's Joy-Con, but like we didn't have a definitive answer at that time.
Yeah, because it would be similar to like Mario Odyssey. You know, how you just did some of those simple little things.
Yeah, I'm sure. I feel like it's probably in there. They showed off a lot of like the abilities. They spent a lot of time focused on the mecha ability, which looked really cool.
Mecha is a new one?
Is it new? It's like the mech. It's like a jet. Like it looks like a jetpack, but like it looks like Gundam-y.
Okay. I know there are 20 abilities in the original. I don't remember if that specifically was
they showed
there.
Like
I
tornado,
think that's the new one.
They showed ice. So if this is a new one, it fires. I mean, they spent a lot of time on it, so I might have like just missed that little tidbit. So it probably is. Like it fires rockets. Like you can like launch them like kind of like mortar style. You can fire like a hyper laser beam that's straight across. You can fire machine guns. Has a jetpack, so it can like hover, so it's easier to go like vertically, leave people behind. They also showed off a super ability called Snowball.
Okay.
Where he turned into a giant snowball and he just like rolled through everything, like rode through sandcastles. Like both that and the ice ability, they showed it using to put out like flaming blocks and reveal hidden paths. There's also like a flaming sandcastle that the snowball crashed through, which is pretty cool. So a lot of like destructive environment stuff going on there. I don't know how like high intensity it is, but also like the secret factor. Like I don't know if you remember anything about like a lot of
No, it was definitely a part of getting secrets. There's also the giant sword that sweeps across and destroys like a whole bunch of
it's in Smash Brothers too, right?
Yeah.
They pointed that out. Yeah, they were like, so you might have seen it in Smash Brothers Ultimate. That's how it's like, yeah, you might have played the original game, but yeah, it looked like really cool abilities. And like again, if you play as all the Kirbys, everyone can get one and unleash all that havoc. They showed off that they're like the mecha ability. They went into the menu to show off like how every ability has multiple like skills.
Yeah.
And mecha has 5 pages of abilities plus various co-op techniques.
Nice.
So like it gets pretty complicated if you want to. Also, I don't know if this was in the original one, Blood, but there's a helper option, Megalord, the new main character of the game, the story that you're trying to fix his ship so he can get back home. Like when you fall down a pit or something, or you're getting walloped on a little too much, they can come in and assist you. So it's kind of like the Nintendo assist thing.
Yeah, it's like Funky Kong kind of thing.
Completely optional. You can turn it on and off. Sorry, I'm not familiar with the original game, so I don't know if it's a new edition or not.
I think that is.
Yeah. They showed off the boss fight against Fatty Puffer, giant like blowfish looking thing. It was like huge. It was like an underground ice cavern, which was a really cool environment. And like he would like blow himself up and then like roll around, and like if you let him get too big, he like covers like the whole screen, so you get like knock the wind out of him, and he gets much smaller. And it was like very like showing all the sync. Like I think they were like syncing up and doing co-op attacks. So, like they were devastating him. It would like look pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember that from my review too. That was one of the advantages. You just get to just tear through bosses if you have a bunch of people.
Yeah, they in the new mode we'll talk about, they said there's like a trade-off though between co-op and single player. In single player, I'll say that there, but there's a difference, and I'll point it out in a second.
Okay.
And again, for the story, I touched upon a little bit. I didn't know the name, so I wrote it as like Mega Man, MAGA, and space lore, but it's MAGOLOR, Megalore. I was like Magalore, I guess. I was like, oh, because it's being Megalore. I'm like, who's Megalore? As Crash onto Planet Popstar, you're trying to repair a ship so you can return home. I don't know if this was in the original. The cutscenes, like it looks like it's like on a piece of like canvas paper with like a pastel filter over it.
Did they talk about that at all? Because that is something.
It's still there.
I'm saying is the original, the cutscenes didn't have any voices or sound effects or anything like that, so I'm wondering if they like made those better.
Could not really that wasn't like I was taking notes during that part, and like there was audio during the presentation, obviously. I will say when I was playing the Forgotten Land on stream, our chat was pointing out that historically Kirby games do not have sound effects during cutscenes. It's usually just like music. Like Kirby doesn't make noises. The other there's no sound design. So it seems to be like a common thing in Kirby games. So it'd be interesting if they change it or not. But yeah, that's like the basic story. They have a area mode in the game called Merry Magaland, which is a sub-game area. It looks kind of like Mario Party-esque, where it has looks like a carnival theme. You just go up to any one of the various sub-games, and you can play them single, or it'll fill in computer players for any empty slots, but you have up to 4 people. They showed off Kirby on the Draw. So you can either have the Joy-Con horizontal or vertical or touchscreen via handheld if you're playing by yourself. It's a shooting gallery competing for the highest score. So you have like ammo, so you have to reload. Like they pop up like the shooting gallery. Whoever like hits it first or hits it like in a better spot will get like a higher score. Then like bomb hazards appear. If you hit those, it penalizes your score. So it's just like just a fun mini game thing, and they also have missions attached to these sub games. There's over 100 in there. They range from like getting a certain score to maybe not getting hit once, stuff like that.
Got it.
And as you complete those, you earn stamps for your stamp card, and then those can be turned in to a vendor, an NPC, who gives you masks. And those masks you can wear are cosmetic. It can be worn in story mode. That
sounds new.
They have different sound effects tied to them, like they can distort sound effects. And they even point out Meta Knight can wear masks, so Meta Knight can double mask up blood. So they got that. It looked like they were on like maybe 70 plus. I was trying to count on the thing. I was like, oh, that's a lot. I love it was a big screen, like a lot of empty slots there. And yeah, that was pretty much like the standard stuff they showed off. And then they showed off what they titled as the big new mode, Magalore Epilogue. So it takes place after. Seems like it takes place after. It's called the Interdimensional Traveler, new epilogue. Play as Magalore. You're trying to regain his lost abilities. So that's the premise. It does support up to 4 players. You start with a lower HP bar than Kirby. So it's a little bit more challenging. Some of the similar co-op abilities, but a new way to attack and new like platforming controls. So you throw out these magic spheres, these orbs. You can fire them out horizontally in front of you, or you can fire like up, basically like vertically. And that's really, and your jump, you have like a jump and then like a little like puff bounce after. Like you can't like inflate like Kirby, so you barely even have a double jump. But they said you could upgrade that later. It's not necessarily like how it's going to stay that way. It's about maintaining combos is how the kind of reward system in here. And now I can get back to the solo versus multiplayer kind of philosophy here. While it's harder to keep hitting enemies consistently in single player, you have like it's a little bit more lenient with you, so it rewards you with combos. This combo score a little bit better. Whereas in multiplayer, you're gonna like hit everything super easily, but even one person gets hit by anything, the combo ends.
Yeah.
So they're being a little bit more strict with that. You earn fruit fragments, like beating bosses or reaching end of certain levels, and that unlocks your new ability. The first up was the magic bomb, looked like kind of like a timed explosion bomb that you could drop down. They have a whole system where you can boost your magical skills. So, for example, the destruction, the magic spheres you fire out, you can increase their range, both horizontally and vertically. So, it looked like there were a few other things like that. The stage they ran through looked like weird kind of like ruins with some green slime substance all over it. In the background, it was like space with like, I want to say like a singularity, but it looked like the old black hole movie with like the grids, like 80s like synth wave grid, like grid waves or whatever they're called, like just spiraling into the middle. So it was like this far out looking place. But generally still like a side-scrolling platformer. And they point out like it's meant to be a little bit more challenging. Like they were having a little bit tougher time, like even just jumping up to certain places, because you're gonna be they likened it more. The controls will feel more, and the layout of your the button layout is gonna feel more like a traditional 2D Mario or a Mega Man game in terms of like what you use to use your specials, what you use to jump versus how Kirby controls. So they think there will be like a tiny bit of a maybe learning curve there. And you can receive like a medal for your ranking at the end of the stage, like up to a platinum for like the best score.
Got it.
And then you earn magic points for how well you do, and those are what you use to boost your in your skill tree stuff like that. It looks pretty linear in terms of like progression through the levels.
It's a side scroller. But you find little secret areas and stuff like that.
You do have a block and dodge in both modes. So like there is like they mentioned during like the first boss that the fatty puffer that you're gonna need to like block sometimes. Sometimes the like roll out of the way. So there is like a degree of skill involved. So I know people have seen like in the past some Kirby games have been labeled easy, but those extra challenges they throw in there sometimes can make it like that's where the difficulty can come from. Right? Yeah. Anything you like note about this game when you played it originally? For people, maybe this might be their first time jumping in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting the positioning of it, like being a year after Kirby and the Forgotten Land, because it feels sort of like similar intention to it. It's like, okay, we made a 3D Kirby game, but we know some people that like Kirby would rather have a side scroller, so let's get this one out of the vault and polish it up and put in some extra features and and have something that's 4-player as well. So
yeah. It looks like good fun to play with like friends. Like I imagine it's probably more fun to like get that like the experience they're going for. Like even just having one other player with you, but like 4 players with you sounds like great. Yeah, I guess like was this the game you'd expect him to go to? This to go to next, or
Kirby is so unpredictable. It could go anywhere. So it's like
I feel like there's so many of those handheld
they try
ones.
So many different weird things. Like the tilt and tumble and just the air race and just I know there's people out there that still want Air Ride sequel.
This is I think this is a good follow up because as you said Forgotten Land came out last year. Now this more traditional one, like giving people a taste of the traditional side scrolling Kirby. Because maybe if you bought into Forgotten Land, this is probably like you want to have more Kirby. This is probably like a good safe spot to go to before going into some of those crazier spin-off games. They might have been better received, but maybe people are just looking for something that's a little bit more traditional at first to get acclimated. Yeah. Well, it's coming later this month again, February 24th. It drops for Switch. And thanks for listening. And if you like what you heard or anything, want to consider supporting us, patreon.com/easyallies is how we're supported. Any amount you can give us helps us out, keeps us producing this type of content. Or somebody that's watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that stuff helps us out very much. And we're shooting this day before the Nintendo Direct, baby. So a little high on Nintendo right now. So thanks for watching, everyone, and take it easy.
Bye-bye.